Hello and welcome to another Writer's Showcase. I'm very excited to be here today. This is going to be a fun one. You guys can get to pick which writing thing I do this week. You can either choose the last third of the Lost Legion uh, prologue, or you can choose the last half of Darksteel's introduction in Super Shots. That's the choice. But while you're kind of figuring that out, allow me to bring on my guests. First off, Net Champion.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure.
Mm-hmm. And please welcome our wonderful communist rabbit god, Count Balerion.
Yeah. Well, that chair is slag.
Greetings, you lot.
Yep.
Greetings.
Yep. Indeed.
And all one of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Alrighty. There we go.
People will be here eventually.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
they'll
fine.
trickle in, maybe.
Yep,
Yeah.
they'll trickle in. They generally come in at the middle. And of course, we have our wonderful human personified bomb, the Johan.
Is everything ready? Do it.
Thousands of souls extinguished by the push of a button.
Understand, Yuri. This is only the beginning.
This is gonna be lovely.
Yes,
That's for sure. So, how is everybody doing?
Pretty
Doing quite
good.
well. Doing quite well indeed.
Not dead yet.
Very good.
Not dead yet, no.
So, who wants to go first?
Let's see. What time is it?
It is 3:34 your time, I believe.
Yes, 3:34. Let's see. Around by 4:15, I should go a little AFK-ish.
Then perhaps you should go first.
Let's
Yes.
see. Pity no one's here. Okay. Half a second. Almost. There we go. Okay. So this is the serious one.
The super serious, guys. Super serious.
Yep, this one is serious. Okay. Please, Sacred Nine, grant that I may reach the Ambata before Exalted's retainers, prayed Oea, governor of Peje, as he approached the eastern gate of Garawada's castle. And grant that the Emperor's assassins may not reach me first. I can go no faster. This journey has worn me out. It had been more than difficult enough obtaining a ship to the Isle of Oro. Obtaining a ship from Oro was easy. Back then I was still governor of Peje, a high official, answering my sovereign's summons. Now, though, all the imperial ships will have been commanded to turn me in. Oea had had to hitch a ride to Peje from an irascible fisherman who had expected a nice gratuity, and then he had had to travel by foot for several days, with whatever provisions he had been able to obtain in Peje by dint of haggling. O'Ea did not have even Muku's talent for grueling travel, and he did have a far more pressing errand. So he was hard put to it. By the time he arrived at Garawada's gate, he was spent. His clothes were rags, his slippers had come off, and his feet were blisters, and he had narrowly escaped getting killed by an angry glyptodont. Am I here in time to warn the Count? Oh, Karat, grant that it be so. O'Ea somehow managed to drag himself to the southern gate, only to find it heavily fortified. State your business, said the captain. I am O'Ea, former governor of Peje, and I have urgent business with the Count Garawada. You the governor? You look more like a vagabond. That is because I am fleeing from assassins and have walked for many days through the wilderness. If you do not believe me, then hand me in chains, but I must speak to the Count. It is a matter of life and death. His life and death. I swear by Sacred Nine, by Karat, and by the sacred Huncha tree that I speak the truth. Come with me. You need not be chained. You look too weak to do any bodily harm. You others, guard the gate until I return, and two is misspelled. God, I hate that. Pardon me. I'm going to have to save that, too. Sorry about this. I hate when this happens. Okay. Just 1 second. Otherwise, I'll never remember. Okay, there. You look too weak to do any bodily harm. You others, guard the gate until I return. We must hurry, said O'Ea, but was barely able to keep up. What he wouldn't have given for a litter. But litters were not in use on the Isle of Oro, outside of some large cities. In the meantime, Garawada and Imuni were in the study reviewing the military preparedness of the castle. Garawada was seated beneath the baronwood paneled bas-reliefs of Sacred Nine and the Roots of Knowledge, and Imuni sat at his left. They both faced the étagère adorned with stone figurines of Sacred Nine blessing the comital ancestor Marawere. Like Pylamar, Garawada had begun preparations for a possible assault as soon as he had returned from court. But he durst not fortify the castle so openly as his brother-in-law, because he was nearer the court and because the barbarians, a natural target for defenses, were farther away. So he didn't have so strong a pretext for war preparations as Pylamar did. Nevertheless, he did what he could. He had the master of arms and his assistants train his guards for warfare and sent those he could spare into the villages with instructions to protect the peasants. I'm concerned about the food, said Imuni. I don't think we have enough for all the vassals in case of a siege. I've already had extra food requisitioned, thereby making the peasants very grumpy. They even half believe that the guards are there to rob them rather than defend them. They've got so used to peace that they don't expect a war, is what it is. A little gratitude wouldn't kill them. Who'll protect them if we don't? Peasants are so accustomed to being beaten down by the lords that they resent us even when we're kind to them. As far as they were concerned, you might be kindly by lord standards, but you're still a lord. The Count sighed. Let's look over the inventory of provisions again and see. They're beating on the drum outside. Imuni put down her pen. Enter, commanded Garawala. The captain of the southern gate entered in haste. Great one, he said. The governor of Peje is come on foot, and says he has urgent tidings. He came alone, without retinue and without horses, and he looks worn out. I could scarce recognize him. Bring him in, said the Count. The guard bowed and rushed out. I wonder what lies behind this, said Imuni. The governor has never visited us without a retinue, and has always warned us in advance. He must be in dire straits to come here on foot without warning. Exalted Balks must be up to some mischief. It's fortunate that we sent Barama away to Darzaz to serve as a witness at Margaret's wedding. Fortunate indeed. At this moment, O'Ea rushed into the room, panting. Great One is welcome here, said Garawada. Would you like a rest and a bath? No time, said O'Ea. Fly. Burunu, governor of Ikama, that is Ikhalumu, comes with an armed force, for the emperor seeks your death. No, said Garawada. I will stand my ground. The castle is strong, and Burunu has no right to enter my lands in force. Only the governor of Peji or the emperor himself has that authority. I think this unwise, said Imuni. We cannot hold out, and we cannot afford the stain of treason. It is not treason, said the Count. Burunu has no authority. They won't care about that, said the Countess darkly, and we do not have time. We will do what we can, said Garawada. He called for a servant. Jobo, take Great One O'Ea to the guest quarters and see to his wishes. The servant escorted O'Ea to a guest room while the Count and Countess made last-minute preparations for Burunu's arrival. Over the next 2 days, Garawada took advantage of the little time at his disposal and had succeeded in mustering a number of troops at the ready, some under his own command and some under his eldest son, Umara, when Burunu arrived at the western gate and demanded an audience. Pardon me. I shall inform the Count of your arrival, said the captain of the guard. It is customary to send word in advance when visiting, so that Great One, the Count of the Ambata, may prepare. And it is not necessary to bring so many men. This is no visit, retorted Burunu, banging his staff. His soldiers tried to keep from snickering. I am come in the name of the Emperor. We shall see, said the captain. Guard Great One well, he told the guards. Do him no harm, but do not open the gate either, until I return with the Count. The guards bowed their heads, and the captain mounted his horse and hastened to the castle, where he tied the horse to a post and ran up the ladder to the middle banquet hall, where Garawada was enjoying a luncheon of kanwari and spinach stew with the Countess, Umara, and O'Ea. Great One. Burunu, governor of Ikalamu, is come with a small army and demands to see you in exalted name, said the captain. Imuni gasped, but Garawada simply said in a flat voice, So the hour is upon us. I must go. Umara, order my horse saddled at once. Get your own horse as well. Captain, tell the masters at arms, Imburu and Muchacha, to ready the right and left Erola and have them ready to meet us in an hour. Within 1 Turanian hour, or about 35 minutes, Garawada set out for the western gate with Umara and a small force of 16 men. Burunu was waiting none too patiently. Great One has kept me waiting far too long. I regret the delay, replied the Count. By my reckoning, it has only been a little over an hour since I heard of your arrival. To what do I owe this honor? The Count looked weary and was clad in older but serviceable armor. Umara, on the other hand, was smiling and sported a shiny byrnie with silver trimmings. We hereby summon you to the Emperor's court. You shall answer charges there. Which charges? Demanded Garawada, lifting his comital staff, which was of silver and had antelope horns on either side of a jitarumuru flower. Am I accused of not wanting to deliver my son up to the impure desires of the Emperor? And you have no authority here. The charges will be made known to you at court, replied Bruno, and this force gives me the authority. He banged his staff on the ground 3 times, but Garawada looked unimpressed. Bruno's soldiers laughed under their cloaks. Pardon me. I have a force too, replied Garawada, and I can have you judged for trespass. No, you can't, said Umara, laughing. Your power here is at an end. He made a signal to his lackeys, and they surrounded Garawada and pointed their swords in his direction. What? Said Garawada, more indignant than frightened. Would you betray your own blood? Loyalty to the sovereign must come first, said Umara with a smile. Seize my gracious father and put him in irons. His henchmen obeyed, and some seemingly with less enthusiasm than others. The captain of the western gate, however, protested. We will resist. A son cannot arrest a father, and a lord at that. No, said the count. I was ready to fight when I thought Bruno only had the 1 force, but with 2 the bloodshed would be far too great, and I would not be a party to kinslaying. So long as my people are left in peace, I will acquiesce. Have him put in chains, said Bruno. No need, snapped Garawada. I will put them on myself. Hand them here. Bruno looked suspicious, but consented and had one of his men hand the chains to Garawada, who promptly put them on and went with Bruno willingly. He looked dignified if annoyed. Let me accompany you. No, let me accompany you, begged Imuni. No, said Garawada again. You must stay here. I will not deliver the court another hostage, and perhaps you can restrain Umara from the worst excesses. Umara seemed to find this quite amusing. I am the lord here now, he said. For the present, said Garawada. We shall see how long you maintain that title. Let's see how much longer there is here. Okay, just a little more. I'm looking forward to doing some redecorating, was Umara's parting shot. Enough, said Bruno, banging his staff again. Place Great One Garawada in the prison wain with his accomplice Pilamar, and give him the hat of obloquy. Bruno's lackeys obeyed, and also, on Bruno's orders, gagged him so that he wouldn't be able to plot with Pilamar. Plot what? Who knows? There isn't much you can do when tied up. During the journey that followed, the 2 prisoners were only released from their bonds for meals, and those were closely supervised with armed guards on all sides. The fare wasn't of the most savory either, consisting mostly of dried shiny rat, millet, and sorrel. Admittedly, it could have been worse. The prisoners were lucky indeed that they were nobles, although they didn't feel very lucky. And I think that will be. Let's see. I think that will be it.
All right.
I like it.
So,
Progression.
let me get this straight. The king gets a visit from his son, or I think son, and then his son wants to take over the throne, and he gets put into change because he didn't knew that there were people in the inside who were also collaborating.
No, the chap who is collaborating is his son. The chap who came to the gate is the governor of another province, but he's been authorized by the emperor to arrest the count.
All right.
And
I almost had it then. Oh.
yeah, it's a little. There's a lot of political background involved. The emperor is annoyed because he wanted the count's son for his harem. I know it's kind of disgusting.
What? All right. Sure.
Some,
Sure thing.
Red Sonja movie stuff going on there.
What about movies?
Red Sonja movie. It's something similar happens, only with two girls.
It's Dunn's book all over again.
Oh,
I don't think that happens in one of my books.
not yet.
No, but I have heard some weird stories. All right.
I think the worst thing I have is a pair of step siblings getting together.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
You say the harem isn't bad.
Well, the emperor is supposed to be bad.
True, but still. It's still fully disgusting to realize, like, yes, this man is totally gay and wants to have sex with that guy from that province and that guy from that province.
Not just guys, he wants girls too, and he's not really fussy about the sex or species or much else.
Jesus.
This is the chap with the cross-dressing monkeys.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That's that kind of. He's that kind of chap. He's kind of like Nero, only more.
Why didn't you not include the cross-dressing monkeys? That would make more sense.
Well, he did include the cross-dressing monkeys earlier. Earlier, you just weren't there for it.
Yeah, not in this. It's not in this chapter. Luckily, I don't think it's in this chapter. I think it was in the last chapter because I was introducing a new character, but then everyone got distracted because the cross-dressing monkeys came into it, and no one could remember what the new character was. So I don't know if that's good writing or not.
Well, it's definitely striking writing. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it does make an impression. Whether it's
Of course it makes an impression. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you know.
Yeah, just regular Charlie here.
So yes, things are happening.
Yes.
This is a chapter where things happen.
Oh no. No way. What? Happening?
So that's a spoiler, sorry.
A super duper spoiler. A super serious spoiler.
Stuff happens.
Stuff happens. Get over it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I like it. I like how we're definitely progressing the story, and kind of it seems like the tension is now being established more firmly, and I'm interested to see where it kind of seems like we're going toward a King John the First or King John the Worst and Magna Carta situation.
Yeah, that's certainly what it looks like.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Magna Carta. Oh no, that is such a, what King John did was so evil.
Mm-hmm.
That guy was the real worst.
Yeah.
I have seen the movie Ironclad, and then I realized like what he did was like, what? You did that? What a dick! What an asshole!
Oh, there have been worse rulers, surely.
Yeah,
Oh, you signed the contract. Well, time for you to lose your hands.
There probably
are some people say that Nero was worse, but you'd be hard pressed to find people who are worse than who was it? James the First?
King John the First.
Yeah, King John the First. You'd be hard pressed to find people that are. There are a few, however.
Nero's pretty bad.
Yeah,
his mother.
Nero is probably one of the worst.
He likes.
But I'd say he only beats it out by maybe a little.
Well, there's also King Charles the First, who's pretty bad. Pretty
King
incompetent.
Charles the First wasn't that bad. Even of England, he wasn't that bad.
Oh, it's just he's the first. Well, he's the cartoon tax guy who ends up being tried and executed for treason to his country. The first.
He
king
was
in
not
history.
that. Yeah, he was not that bad though. I mean, as kings go, there's been a lot of propaganda. A lot of what people have a lot of people know about history is propaganda. So whether the king are actually as bad, I mean, did Richard III really kill the kids? We don't even know.
Yeah,
Just
that's
only
true.
say he did. There's
I'm
a
just-
lot of stuff. Yeah,
Nero was fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of propaganda.
I'm just thinking like he's like just the cartoonish tax guy, like in the guy who dissolved Parliament over and over and over again because he couldn't get a loan.
Yeah, but then Parliament, but then the Puritans forbade the theatre and abolished Christmas. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worse than anything Charles I did or not.
I guess like it's kind of like Charles I is kind of like comically like money grubbing. Like hey, you want to give me a loan? No,
No.
not really. Well, good. You're going to give me a loan, and it's going to be for this much. No, I don't want to give you a loan. Okay, then you're going to prison. I'm going to prison?
One does not what's the word? Refuse. One does not refuse the word of a king.
And then,
Not in that day and age, anyway.
I'm going to make you a knight. Did you know there was a little fee attached to that? A little knight fee. Sorry.
Well, I mean, he needs revenue somehow.
Yeah.
At least he didn't torture Jews like King John did.
Oh, you mean Nero? Yeah, Nero did that
that
as well.
too. Him too, probably.
He dressed himself in animal skin and literally went to a gladiator arena and murdered Jews there. Fuck.
And Christians.
Yes.
And
Yes,
Nero
I
also turned a guy into a girl too. Reportedly, that's kind of disgusting.
Yeah, forced him up. Forced to.
I believe Nero was also the one that had the Brazen Bull Commission. And then
Which?
You don't know about the Brazen Bull?
I haven't heard about that.
I told you about this. I'm using it in the first chapter.
Oh yeah, the thing where you boil somebody alive. Oh yeah.
No, where
you put it in a bowl and then you burn. And
that is so evil.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's where this person, I don't remember if it was Nero or someone else, but they commissioned the creation of a huge bronze bull with an hollowed out interior, sorry. And what happens is you put someone inside, you light a fire underneath, and you basically cook the person alive, and then the screaming of the person comes out as yeah,
which is fucking creepy.
It is, and it's evil.
Yeah, how charming.
That is fun. No, absolutely
and
not.
The person that they tested the bull on was
the guy who made it.
The bull,
yeah.
Yes.
That's so evil. It's like, oh, you made it. Well, go ahead, test it out. What? Me? No.
That wasn't what I had in mind.
This was not part of the plan. Well, now it is.
Yeah, but whoever had the Brazen Bull commissioned is definitely worse.
I already can see, the guy who, sent the inventor to into the machine is like, bye.
Yeah.
Now I want to Google that and see.
All right.
Yeah, it's
let's
terrible machine.
let's continue with.
Okay, so whose turn is it now?
I believe that it is Johann's turn.
All right. I will only read one part of it because the second part I will read the next time when I have time to be on on this lovely thing. So. Let me get a thing correct. I need to get to the read mode, not the print layout mode. Alright, I can now read it. Alright. It's a magical girl's let's put some context in it. It's a magical girl story, and this is the first chapter of it, so I hope you all enjoy. Chapter 1. The beginning of something purple. It's a lovely sunny summer day, and the girls finally arrive at Smooshies, the local smoothie bar. As the girls walk to take their seat near the window, Jessica, the owner of the bar, walks towards them, walks towards the table, and lays down three menus. Then asks, with a lovely smile, "Hello. My name is Jessica. Welcome to Smooshies. What can I get you on such a lovely day?" The girls look at each other and agree on what they gonna get. Then put down their menu cards. "Well, we like to have the strawberry with apple smoothies, please," Mina replied, as she puts down her book, The Lonely Rock, on the table and starts reading it. Jessica and Lola. Jessica gives Lola a wooden popsicle with a popsicle stick with the number 3 on it. As Lola examines the popsicle, she asks, "Ma'am, what do we need to use these for?" "Well, you give them to the waiter. When they come. When they come to deliver your smoothies, and when you're finished or want to buy more smoothies, go to the counter where we will be happy. To the counter where I'll be happy to take your order," Jessica replied as she walks walks back to the counter to help another customer. As the girls wait for the order to arrive, Rufina starts looking at Mina's book. "Well, what are you reading today, Mina?" Rufina asks, as she looks at the big amount of text that is represented on each page. "Oh, it's just one of my favorite books, and it's just a chapter in one of my favorite books. That is about 3 stones in a magical circle, and somehow they got separated. Now it's up to the old man to find a way to get the 3 stones back together, or bad things will happen to his hometown." As Mina replies to Lola's question. She feels the urge to keep reading even more pages. Rufina tries to get Mina's attention again, but she seems to be charmed by the story, as she wants to know more. She's wanting to know more about the ending of its mystery. The waiter finally arrives at the table with their smoothies in hand, and then a smoothie in hand. Lola gives the man the popsicle. Lola gives the man the popsicle and thanks him for the smoothies. After that, the waiter places the smoothies in the middle of the table, and goes off to help a different customer. Not shortly after that, Rufna puts one of her arms over Lola's shoulders and points towards the window and asks, "So, what is your favorite place to go this summer?" While looking at Lola with a smirk on her face. "What? Hey! Why are you smirking like that?" Lola replies with confusion in her face. As the moment of silence fills the table, her face begins to slowly turn red with each passing minute. Shortly after that, Rufina slams both her hands on the table, causing the three girls' drinks to shake and almost spill all over the table. "Oh my God! You didn't know, Ethan just got a new job at the new swimming pool as a lifeguard in training. Think of all the wonderful moments you two will have when he sees you in your new swimsuit you bought yesterday." Lola's face turns fully red after hearing those words coming out of Rufina's mouth. As Rufina is trying to make Lola blush even more than she already is, Mina stands up and moves behind Rufina. Rufina doesn't seem to mind and continues her conversation with Lola. In a sudden blink of her eye, Rufina is grabbed by her ear. How many times? Yeah. How many times I have to tell you to keep your strength under your control? You almost got our drinks spilled all over the table," Mina said with an angry voice, with anger in a softly spoken voice. As Mina drags her away from Lola. "But I didn't I? So I haven't done anything wrong, really. So what's the problem?" Rufina responds as she slowly tries to remove Mina's grip on her ear to escape the situation. Mina looks at her again. After that, she tightens the grip on Rufina's ear and looks Rufina in the eyes. "Well, I'll tell you what is wrong. Your reckless behavior made one of my favorite books all wet and sticky." Mina looks at Rufina with a stern facial expression. Shortly after that, she lets go of Rufina's ear and reveals her book to both of them that she was reading just a moment ago. As both the girls look at Mina's book, they can clearly see it's now soaked by the sugary drinks the girls just had. "Oh my God, your book is totally ruined. I think you will be able to return it looking like that," Lola responds. Lola responds. Damn it! All right, fine. Lola responds with I have this sentence wrong. Lola says with a worried face towards Mina. "Of course I cannot return it looking like that. And after all, this is all her fault." As Mina points towards Rufina. Shortly after that, Mina's face starts to look very nervous. Her voice cracks as she tries to avoid the eye contact with Mina. As Rufina starts moving towards the bar, Rufina starts moving towards the bar, Mina grabs her hand. "Where do you think you're going, Rufina? I think you owe me an apology. After all, you are the one that caused this to happen," Mina says, looking Rufina straight in the eye. Well, I'm deeply sorry for what happened to you, Mina. I'll pay for the drinks this time. I'm so sorry. If you would let my hand go now, I like to pay for the bill," Rufina said nervously. When Mina looks pleased with the apology Rufina gave to her, and it is shown in her face. Thank you. I believe. Thank you. I believe I went a little bit too far myself as well, but you know how important these books mean to me. Mean to me. Mina responded with her voice calm and gentle once again, as she lets go of Rufina's hand. Rufina starts hastily moving towards the counter, waiting to do the deed as fast as possible. Normally, Mina would have been calm and gentle person towards such a small accident, but her love towards books is very strong, especially with the old detective novels like The Mirror Wall and The Ruined Maze. Yeah. As Rufina reaches the counter, she sees Jessica. She sees that Jessica is busy looking for something underneath the counter. Not wanting to wait to see. Not wanting to wait to wait. She tries to get her. Not wanting to wait. She tries to get her attention. Excuse me, miss, but I'd like to get the bill for table 25. Rufina says impatiently. I'm a bit busy right now. Damn it, where are they? Jessica responds with strong frustration coming out of her voice. Well, I'm a little bit in a bit of a hurry, so is there anybody else that I could ask for the bill for table 25? Rufina asks politely. Jessica stands up. And opens the door on the side counter. Jeremy, get over here, please. She says with an authoritarian voice, while returning to look underneath the counter. A tall man in his 20s with dark blonde hair comes out of the door just as it has been opened, and takes a stand near the counter. Good day, miss. How can I help you today? He asks. Well, I like to have the bill for 25 and chocoban to go, please. Rufina quickly replies, while looking back. Rufina quickly replies, while looking back only to see Lola cleaning up their messy table. Shortly after that, Jeremy comes back with a choco cupcake in hand and hands. Rufina looks at the cash register machine to see how much she needs to pay and hands over the money. With a gentle smile towards Rufina, Jeremy says, "Don't you worry, miss. Accident like that happen. Accidents like that. Yeah. Don't you worry, miss. Accidents like that happen. There is no need to be ashamed of it." As he sees Rufina still looking back to the table after making eye contact with him. Rufina hears this, and her worried face begins to disappear. Thank you. While she's looking at the nameplate of Jeremy's uniform. Jeremy, is it right? Well, thank you for lifting my spirit, but I need to go now. The rest of my friends are waiting for me, she says hastily, as she sees that Mina, Lola are packing their things up, packing their things at their table. She grabs the cupcake and rushes towards Mina and Lola again. While Jeremy waves at her. Jeremy waves at her. After that, he returns back to its duties. As she finally arrives, she hands over the cupcake to Mina and says, "Here, I like you to have this to make up for the mistakes I made. I feel bad for what I did, and I promise I won't. I promise you it won't happen again. I pinky swear it." She's as she uh, 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 um oh what as her pinky is raising up, she waits for Mina to accept it. Mina smiles and accepts Rufina's offer. With all forgiven now, the girls pick up their stuff and decide to go the long route towards the local library to return Mina's book, although it is damaged. As the girls make their way towards the local library, Mina's eyes start to glow blue. Shortly after that, a sudden green flash shows up in the clear blue sky, followed by a dust cloud. A dust cloud near the construction site nearby. Lola looks at the dust cloud that is coming from the construction site. With a worried face, she asks Mina, "What is that?" Well, it looks like a magical crystal has crashed at the construction site. By the looks of it, it seems to be possessing the power to control earth and light. Mina replies as her eyes start glowing even brighter. As the girls arrive at the construction site, the dust cloud finally disappears, revealing that a house that is no longer in great shape. Revealing a house that is no longer in great shape. Its wooden beams broken. It's supposed to be holding the roof up, but it has collapsed under the impact of the crystal. Collapsed under the impact of the crystal that just crashed. When the girls carefully move closer to see the impact up close on the house, their crystal necklaces start to glow, and the girls' hair start to change to corresponding colors. As Rufina finishes her transformation, she feels the energy of her crystal racing through her body. After that, she asks, "So what's the plan now, Mina? Do you think it's something dangerous, or one of those rock lizards again? Wow! I love to see if I can beat such thing this time without any help. I highly doubt it." I highly doubt it, since I took a look into the crystal and it seems to be harmless, but something else is coming for it. Since we already know that the crystal is magical, it might give the thing new powers. We cannot allow that to happen. So Lola, would you be so kind to run over there and bring back the crystal that is located under those piles of underneath those piles of broken wooden beams? Mina replied as she points towards the collapsed house. In a blink of an eye, Lola's eyes turn yellow, and she moves with great speed towards the location pointed by Mina. As she arrives at the spot, she leans with one hand on the stone wall as she tries to recover her breath. After finally recovering from using her powers, Lola starts looking for the crystal that lays underneath the broken pillars. She starts digging. She starts dragging them aside. After removing the last one, she discovers a green glowing crystal laying underneath all the rubble. As she picks up the green crystal, she inspects it, only to see that it's still unharmed by the impact it made with the building. Lola looks back at the others back to the other two, and tries to show the green glowing crystal to them. The whole But suddenly the whole ground starts to shake and tremble. Within seconds, a big purple rhino with crystal horns bursts through several walls of the building, charging in a straight line towards Lola. With a nervous voice, Lola whispers to herself, That is not a rock lizard. That's a big angry boy with two sharp pointy horns. As her eyes start to glowing, as her eyes starts to glow again, she begins to run. Not shortly after that, she starts running with great speed towards Rufina, leaving the big purple rhino in the dust. After reaching Rufina, she falls on her knees from exhaustion. Rufina grabs Lola's left hand and puts it over her shoulder. Soon after that, she starts carefully lifting Lola up, while looking towards the dust cloud Lola just made. A big shadow starts appearing within the dust cloud, moving closer and closer towards the two girls. Rufina looks at Lola, seeing that she's still exhausted and out of breath. She decides to turn her head towards Mina and shouts, "Mina! Lola is exhausted, and something big is coming fast towards us. What do we do now?" Mina looks at the big shadow in the cloud, and her eyes turn blue again. Shortly after that, she shouts back to Rufina, "Well, one thing is for sure. It's the other magical source, and its power is to create crystals. So be aware of that. And if we can find its weakness, well, we will be able to defeat it. Just get ready for impact and try to hold it off. While I'll try to protect Lola until she's fully recovered. Can you do that for me, Rufina?" Rufina responded with a thumbs up and with a smile on her face towards Mina. Rufina with a smile towards with a smile on her face towards Mina. Rufina gently lays down, gently removes Lola's arm from her shoulder, and says with a calm voice, "Just you wait here, all right? Mina will just pick you up. We'll pick you up soon, and I must say, you did already a great job on retrieving that green crystal. So don't you worry. We got this from here." After that, she leaves Lola alone. Rufina starts moving towards the big moving shadow. While Rufina is bracing herself to stop whatever is coming towards them, Mina rushes towards Lola and starts casting an icy wall in front of them to protect Lola from the threat that is coming. After a strong breeze, the dust cloud finally disappears, revealing a big angry purple rhino charging in a straight line towards Rufina. With a self-confident face, she looks at the big purple angry rhino eye to eye. As the rhino runs closer and closer towards her, she proudly says, "I have seen bigger creatures than you. Not in 100 years I will let you through, you ugly purple-looking rhino." As the two make contact with each other, the purple rhino presses onward and tries to gore Rufina with its crystal horns. In reaction to that, Rufina grabs both her hands on the front of the crystals and tries to slow it down, while getting pushed backwards with immense force that the rhino created on impact. After a short time, Rufina notices that she is losing ground quickly. She turns her head, only to see the icy wall behind her getting closer and closer every second. With sweat dripping from her face, she exhaustedly shouts, "Mina, how long until you can help me out? I'm running out of ground here before this creature's gonna crush me into the icy wall. Just give me a sec. Just give me a sec. I'll be there soon, Rufina," Mina replied, while looking at Lola to see if she's finally recovered. With a smile on her face, Lola looks at Mina and starts standing up. As Lola brushes off some dirt on her clothes, she says, "Thank you, Mina. I think you really need to help Rufina now." Mina looks around the area to see a stone wall standing behind of them, a couple of meters afar. Afar. After that, she replies to Lola, "You're right. I have a plan. How we can beat this beast. Please stand back, Lola. This is gonna be a slippery one. I don't want you to get hurt while I'm doing this." And with a sudden crackling sound, the icy wall falls apart, leaving a muddy puddle behind. As she turns the water into an icy floor on the ground. After that, she turns the water into an icy floor on the ground, and with a determined look in her eyes towards Rufina, she shouts, "Release the grip on the rhino now!" As she tries to create an additional layer of ice on the icy floor to make it even stronger, Rufina even stronger, and so Rufina looks back towards Mina, only to see that Mina, Lola are both on the left side of the only on the left side of the icy of her, and the icy wall has been replaced by an icy floor. Well knowing that the rhino needs to be guided into the icy floor, she decides to let go of her grip. She decides to let go of the grip on the purple rhino, and within seconds after removing her grip on the rhino, she pushes herself away from it. This causes her to land near Lola's feet. As Rufina stands up, the girls can clearly see that the big rhino tries to charge towards Lola. But when the rhino tries to turn itself around on the icy floor to continue its charge towards Lola, the rhino loses its grip, causing itself to tumble over its own feet, and as a result, the rhino crashes into the stone wall head first. As the rhino stands up again, it shakes off the rubble of the stone wall and starts again charging towards the girls. As the big purple rhino comes closer and closer towards the girls, they can clearly see that they have a clear look at the horns and see that they have been heavily damaged by the impact it just had. As Mina looks at the rhino, her eyes start to turn blue once again, followed by a gentle smile on her face. Rufina looks at her and asks, "Did you figure something out, Mina?" "Yes. By the looks of it, its magical source is fading. I think it has to do something with those horns. As you can see, they are heavily damaged by the impact it just had. I would suggest you to hit those horns as hard as you can," Mina replied, as her eyes turn normal again. Rufina nods her head towards Rufina nods her head towards Mina and starts getting ready to face the rhino head on. As seconds pass by, her head starts to turn her eyes start to turn red, and her muscles begin to tighten. As Lola sees this happening, she begins to have a concerned look on her eyes. Shortly after that, she walks towards Mina and asks, "Are you sure this is going to work, Mina? What if Rufina is going oh, hold on, I need to find where it is. What if Rufina is going to hurt herself, or worse, getting her hand broken again, like the time we fought that stone golem. Don't you think it is a little bit? Don't you think it? Don't you think it's? Don't you think it's a little bit reckless letting her use her powers like that? You know what happened when we fought that stone golem, didn't you? She she had she had to stay at the hospital for almost 2 weeks after that. Lola's voice starts to sound shaken. She begins to break. She begins to break down in tears. Mina, knowing well what's going to happen, she quickly hugs her, and with a gentle and calm voice, she replies, "Don't you worry, Lola. There is no need for crying here. You see, Rufina is in no danger for using her powers this time, since I have a feeling this rhino is not as tough as it seems to be after all. It's nothing like that time we fought that stone golem. I just checked. I just checked the rhino's magical energy, and it seems to be weakened. So I think this big purple rhino is not the real deal. Since if it would have been the real deal, the power source, if it would have been the real power source, it would have used its powers by now. If you look at a rhino right now, you can clearly see that its horns are looking like they're gonna break soon. And if those horns are destroyed, the big purple rhino will disappear for sure. I'm quite sure of that. You really think so, Mina? Lola replied, as she puts away her tears with her yellow long hair. uh, Mina grabs her handkerchief out of her pocket and says, "Of course, I, I never have, I never have been wrong, haven't I? Here, take this. It's far better for putting away those tears than your fine long hair. After all, you don't want to wake up with a cow leg, don't you?" What would Eden think of that? Think of that? Hmm. Maybe I do want to see that happen. Lola's doubts melt away after hearing those words, turning her worried face into a rose-red blush. As Mina sees this happening, she says to her, "Whoa, just kidding, Lola. I merely was toying with you." Lola smiles and as she tries to speak to Mina, their conversation gets interrupted by a loud crackling sound, followed by crystal particles flying in the air, causing the sky to turn a bit purple. As Mina and Lola turn their head towards the sound, they see Rufina celebrating. Shortly after that, Mina and Lola walk towards Rufina and start celebrating with her. That's how far I'm gonna put it right today.
Okay. Okay.
Not bad, but you need to slow down a little bit.
Sorry.
I noticed you were stuttering a lot. Perhaps before the stream, you take a couple of minutes to read the section to yourself so that you don't do that again.
I was very nervous.
You're fine. So I think that there's a lot of good here, but it's very rough.
It is.
A little, yeah.
I'll start with the positives. I think the characters are very well defined. I think that's a very big strength of yours is that I get a sense of all the characters and their personalities. The in between prose needs some editing. Pretty all over the place. I think I understand there's kind of a combination of things: language barrier, your dyslexia. But if you want to just give me this to edit, I will make sure to maintain the what you want to do with it, and I'll just change around the word choice so it's a little bit more grammatically correct and flows a little bit better.
I'll try to do it myself first, and then I'll give it and hand it over to you.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm down to do it as is because and then you can see whether you like it or not. Just send it to me whenever you feel it. Well, it's kind of just like I'm down to do it like right as is, and then you can kind of see what you like about it.
But what do you think so far of the story? Or
I think the
So
story's
far, yeah, you dropped us right into the action.
I like purple rhinos.
well, technically, I did not drop you right into the action. I give you first a sneak peek where they were, and then I went to the action.
That's true. We had the.
Incidentally,
Incidentally, if I were Minna, I would make Rufina pay all right with her life.
Calm down.
You're not
Oh.
supposed to kill people. Come on.
What sort of nonsense is that?
What?
I said, what sort of nonsense is that? You're not supposed to kill people.
Well, the main idea is like I wanted to just give them first like a little, normal, daily event that is happening, and now suddenly, the rock came down. Normally, such things don't happen that often. So, it's just a daily. It's not a daily occurrence, but that's what the event happens. And
Well, I was
Yeah.
attacked by purple rhinos 40 times just in the last 5 minutes. So I don't know what you're talking about.
But that's the main idea. The purple rhino is constantly a threat until he gets beaten. So that's the idea of it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But do you think the title is correct, or
What was the title again?
something purple? The beginning of something purple.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, I like the title.
I
Sure.
like the title too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
title
that's good.
works.
That's good, yeah.
Because technically, after this, there will be another part that is, explaining why the title is something purple. Because you have the purple rhino, but technically, it's not a real deal. So who would have thought?
Yeah. But yeah,
Okay.
it's a good start. Like I know like I helped you a little bit with the editing before in terms of like the formatting. I just think like needs a little bit more work.
You know
Yeah.
what? I'll try to do my editing myself, and then once I'm thinking I'm done, I will give it to done, and then
Okay, I have a
drop-
suggestion for you.
yeah, go ahead.
Do you have Grammarly? Because that will definitely help. At least some of it.
No,
Grammarly.
no, I don't have that.
You might need. I think that it's free to use. I think that like it would be really helpful.
I have
Yes.
Word. I don't know if that counts as Grammarly.
No,
No, it doesn't help.
We're
Right.
not really-
Hang on.
Google Docs has pretty good grammar stuff. But you can install Grammarly into Google Docs. So
Yeah.
How do you spell Grammarly? Just to make sure.
regular,
It's-
just regular grammar, word, and then ly.
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay.
I believe if I fix the whole damn problems with the grammar and certain I believe if I fix the grammar problems and some of the pacing, then I think I will read it again out loud, and then hopefully then that it will be far better and more enjoyable, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is where I found it, and it's at the top of the page. So
Okay.
you might need to add something to the end, depending on where you are.
Yeah. No
Oh,
suggestion.
It's free. It's free on.
Yeah,
on
it's free, and you can put it in Word too.
Oh really?
You can.
Okay. Raise hand.
Sure.
I've not a suggestion, but a question. Is the use of the present tense a deliberate choice? Because it's a legitimate choice, but is it deliberate?
Yes, I try to do everything in present tense to
Okay.
not get confused, because I learned to do only one version and not multiple versions, because it makes it even more confusing.
Okay, because maybe it might make it more vivid. It might make it more vivid and immerse the reader. So it's a legitimate choice. So I just want to make sure it's not the usual, but it's legitimate.
I am so happy that the personalities and the personas are that people saw the personas how they that. I'm so happy that that went good.
Yes.
Because I was the most worried about that they didn't feel human. Honestly, that was my major concern upon that. Well, aside of grammar, of course.
Okay.
So, I did it, I guess? Yes.
Good job.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yeah. Alright. Nav,
All right.
go ahead. Rock the ship.
Okay. So, this is Foxes and Demon Slayers, Chapter 7, The Elf Sisters and the Corrupted Int. Third floor staircase. In the middle of the woods, near the edge of the third floor, there was a doorway leading to a set of descending stairs. Its hinges creaked and groaned in protest as the door swung outward, revealing a large group of humans with a single demon and half-demon in their midst. "Oh, wow, this is beautiful," Asna exclaimed. "I think this would have been one of my favorite floors had this not been a death game." "So, Kirito, what quests are there to do on this floor?" Klein asked as he walked to the doorway. Kirito turned to look at his older friend. "Quests to do?" he muttered thoughtfully to himself, looking up at into the canopy. The trees were huge, much larger than they had been on the first. They were big enough to hollow out and create homes out of it. Well, there are a few. The Guild Creation quest is on this floor, and then there is the first of several multi-floor quest lines can be found here too. "What's it called?" Silica asked excitedly. "I do believe the Demon Slayer is speaking of the Elven Civil War," Pina spoke up. "The Forest and Dark Elves have been fighting each other for the last century, I believe. They used to get along quite well." "They did?" Argo blinked. "What happened then?" "No one is really sure what went wrong." Pina shook her head. "The elves have always been rather insular in nature." Kirito nodded. "That sounds about right." He looked around at the group. "So, what should we do?" "Well, where can the guild quest be found?" Klein asked, as they all followed Kirito away from the door. Kirito stopped in the clearing. "From here, if you continue down the path, you'll get to some foot, the first safe zone of the floor." Kirito pointed to the west. "However, if we go this way," this time Kirito pointed to the north, "we will eventually find a dark elf and forest elf fighting. So I guess the question is what everyone wants to do," Koharu said. "I'm going to go take the Elven War campaign." Kirito shrugged. "You guys are free to come if you like." "I don't know." Klein rubbed his chin. "I want to take the guild quest." "Can we meet you later and join you?" "You can do that, yes," Kirito replied. Klein's friends traded glances with each other, nodding. "Then I suppose this is where we split up for the moment," Kirito replied. Yeah, not Kirito. Oi. "Argo, what about you?" he asked, turning to the cat demon. Argo watched as the large group started to divide itself in two. "Kota, do you mind going with Klein and reporting back to me about the guild creation quest?" she asked. "I was planning to go with Klein, actually," Koharu said with a smile. "In that case," Argo grinned, I think I will go with you, Kiba. Kirito smiled. Come on, Kopel, it's time to go. Kopel rolled his eyes as he walked over to Kirito's side. I'm not suicidal, Kirito, he groused. Oh no, if you want to date my sister, Kopel, I'm going to make sure you survive this game. Kirito replied jokingly. Kirito! Kopel mock whined. Kirito chuckled at his friend's reaction. You can't date Lifa if you're dead, you know. Kopel pouted. Asuna took Kirito's other side. I'm coming too. Your quest is likely the more dangerous of the two. In that case, Silica frowned. Pina and I are coming too. She smiled. Pina hasn't had to heal any of the people going with Kleinsa. Zumpet. Klein whistled, impressed. So, this is Zumpet, he said 15 minutes later when they'd finally made it to the safe zone. Zumpet was much smaller than the town of Beginnings, but that was a given for most, if not all, the towns and villages they'd been to. Zumpet itself was built out of hollowed trees in clusters of 3 or 4. Inns, taverns, shops all looked the same by virtue of being built in carved and hollowed trees. It is one of the more unique towns, that's for sure, Koharu agreed. That tree over there is the one we are looking for. She pointed to the tree at the end of the main avenue. Unsurprisingly, the cathedral was fashioned out of a hollowed tree, just like everything else in this town. And how long does it take to accomplish the quest? Klein asked as they arrived at the front door and pulled it open so Koharu could enter first. Usually? Koharu asked. Yes, Klein agreed. I believe Kirito did the calculation on a whim back in the beta test. Koharu chewed on her lip for a moment as she tried to remember what he and Argo had told her back then. I believe Kirito said it took a minimum of 30 minutes? Okay then, Klein said. We might end up meeting them there then. He sounded happy about that. As they approached the priest, the group was silent. Ah, welcome, travelers, the priest said when they got to him. What can I help you with? Koharu gave Klein a nod. This was his show now. She was only here to guide him places. This is your show now. Thank you, Koharu, Klein said, turning his attention to the priest. Good day, Father. I am looking to create a guild. I see, the priest said slowly. I'm afraid that, well, I could usually help you. I'm afraid the medallion I used to anoint such has gone missing. Klein bit his lip as he thought about what his response should be. He'd been expecting something important would be missing. Forest of the Elves. Kito-san, how will we know when we are close to the beginning of the quest? Silka asked as they hiked through the woods. Want me to take this, Kiba? Argo asked. Kirito turned to look at the cat demon over his shoulder. Go for it. You are likely to be better at explaining things than I am, he replied. Argo nodded back briefly, turning her attention to the youngest player present. Silicata? Silicata, she said, foregoing her usual penchant for nicknames and her accent. The inception of this quest is a pair of elves fighting. In order to trigger the quest, you need to choose an elf to defend and jump into the fight in your chosen elf's defense. Which means we will hear the sounds of a fight before we ever see anything, Silica concluded. Exactly. Argo grinned. Do these elves have names? Asuna asked. The dark elf was called Kismal, Kirito replied. I never played the forest elf side of the campaign, though, so I don't know who her opponent was. Tell me where you took my sister, you pointy-eared bastard, before I rip those ears off and strangle you with them! Tilmel, the field medic, snarled at the warrior before her. Now, why would I tell you that, you dark elf slut? The much taller male elf asked snidely, looking Tilnell over with a familiar, perverse gaze. It was a gaze only the idiots in camp used. Tilnell may have chosen to be a medic and a doctor, but that didn't mean she was ignorant. She knew what that gaze meant, knew what waited for her if she lost this fight. Tilnell was perfectly happy to demonstrate to this forest elf just how dangerous a medic could be. Her grip on her scimitar tightened, and not a moment too soon. The forest elf charged her, his sword over his head, positioned for a powerful downward strike. Tilnell grunted as her scimitar met his blade and kicked out, sending the taller, bulkier elf sprawling. She had to play this defensively since her opponent was bigger and had more muscle. Usna came to a stop, her ears twitching. I hear something, she reported. What is it? Kirito asked, turning his body to look at her since she was standing to his right, and Kirata had claimed that shoulder as her perch. It sounds like a fight, Usna replied, turning to him. The one we've been looking for. You're the one who heard it first. Would you like to take the lead? Kirito made a gesture with his hands. Huh? Usna blinked. I can? Sure. Wasn't it Kismo we were supposed to save? Usna asked, a few minutes later after they'd somehow managed to save the Dark Elf's life. Her hair was a purple a few shades too dark to be Kismo, and she'd introduced herself as Tilnell, claiming to be Kismo's younger sister. She also claimed to be a healer and was willing to look everyone over now the danger had passed. It was, Argo replied, looking through her notes, but I'm not sure what changed. Silica looked between the beta testers of the party. Maybe we will find Kismo somewhere else, she suggested. It's possible, Copel replied, but at the moment there's no way to know. Kirito stroked Rara's fur as he thought about what they needed to do. I think we should keep going and hope that the rest of the questline isn't affected by this change. Excuse me, Tilnell caught their attention. Thank you for helping me with that falcon, Knight. She bowed. Please follow me back to camp. I foresee the guide for this floor needing to be heavily edited, Argo whispered to Kirito as they fell in line behind the elf. It could have been worse, Kirito said, resting a hand on his friend's shoulder. Much worse, Argo agreed. Dark Elf Base Camp. So, what is this thing? Usna asked, placing a bottle of crystal on the table before Kirito. The party was spread out over several tables in the largest mess hall of the base. Kirito picked up the bottle and studied it closely, tapping it with a finger. Crystal bottle of... He trailed off as he read the description, whistling when he finished. What you have here, Asna, is an extra skill slot. An extra skill slot? Asna asked, as Kirito pushed the bottle back into her hands. Yes, Kirito replied. No one else can know you have that. Not yet. His eyes drifted over to Argo. The cat demon looked up from her notes and gave him a nod. Kirito turned back to her. Right now, you can do whatever you want. You can put a hobby in here, or you can choose your next skill. It's up to you. Asuna shoved the bottle back into her inventory. Let me think about what I'm going to do first. Take as long as you want. That item is yours, Kirito replied. Thank you. Asuna gave him a bright smile. So, what's next? Next is... Kirito paused. The next 2 chapters require us to go to the place where the Guild Creation Quest goes. The next chapter requires us to find something belonging to another Dark Elf, the brooch you've seen the Knights wear, and bring it back. The chapter after that requires that we bring the fang of the Spider Queen back. Then perhaps we should go? Argo asked. We've already received our rewards rewards for bringing Tilnell back alive. Yeah, we managed to save Tilnell. What if leaving now allows us to save another life? Silica asked. Well, we didn't know we could save Tilnell's life in the inciting fight, so maybe? Copal suggested. We would be traveling through the night, but since we have Kirara and a demon slayer with exceptional sight, it might work, Pina added. Demon Slayer, I have a request, if I may, Tilnell asked as she approached with a tray of her own. That sounded like a side quest. Kirithel shared a glance with Argo and Copal. Argo opened her menu and checked her notes, shaking her head when she found no mention of such a quest. It must be new content, and possibly a one-time quest. Kirithel gave her a nod of acknowledgement, turning his attention back to Kismo. What can I do for you, Tilnell? He asked. Oh, sorry. Leaning forward as the elf sat down across from him. The Forest Elf Falcon Knights took my sister Kismel hostage, and I've been trying to track down her location, Tilnell explained. I admit my tracking skills are rather lacking since I'm a medic and not a hunter, but I would like to accompany you, should you find that acceptable? Yep, this was a side quest. Right now, I don't have much on hand, but I should be able to reward you well once we've found her. If we find her. Kirito opened his menu to check his skills. Search was almost at 100 points. Okay, team. Who here has the search skill and how many points do you have in it? Everyone else opened their menus to do as he asked. I have it under racial bonuses, Usna said. It's at 201, it looks like. I have it under racial bonuses too, and mine is 300, is 3 points above Daz, Argo reported. It must be because I'm a full-blooded demon and she's a Hanyo. Well, mine is almost at... There's a discrepancy here. Hang on. Mine is almost at 200. What about you, Copal? Silka? I only picked search up, so it's really low. 50, Copal replied. 100 for me, Silica said. I picked it up on the skill slot before last. And Kirada's got a good nose on her, so we will have help. Kirito agreed, turning back to Kismo. How soon should we leave? I would like to leave as soon as possible, Tilnell replied. After we eat, we'll head out then, Kirito decided. And that's where my segment ends.
Okay. Yeah, there's some good stuff there. I like the conflict and the character work. I think that's the main thing that stands out to me.
Thank you.
Normally, let me think. I think there's a lot of good stuff in terms of like the character interactions. I'm kind of like trying to figure out like what exactly the like plans of the characters as far as getting out of the game works, but
well, the conditions for getting out of the game and logging out are to get to floor 100.
Oh, okay.
So they are right now on floor 3.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that was nice. A couple of word choices here and there. Someone asks a question at one point, and then the person, yes.
Yeah, I noticed that. I had Kirito reply to himself, so I need to fix that. I need to fix that. I know I do.
Don't you worry. I think you did a far better job at telling than me. So
that's because I've been reading it aloud longer.
Mine had a misspelling. That's disgusting.
Well, at least it helps that you give me a very good tip. So that's lovely. I think the characters are really nice. I still like them.
Oh
I
yeah.
Thank you.
It is so funny that I actually can see things in front of me when I just hear a story, instead of only seeing it by words. No, I can just see it out in the front, which really helps a lot with my imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working on putting description where description is needed and making the descriptions as short but as descriptive as possible.
Yeah, I like this. I like the town.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh.
well, the next section
Mhm.
happens to be them rescuing. The next section happens to be their successful rescue mission. So,
Oh, sweet. So
yeah,
the rescue mission of the elf, then. Nice.
yeah.
Spoiler.
Okay.
Well,
Nah.
Okay.
It is not it's not a spoiler if it's only the objective.
yeah,
The same thing as I can say. Well, the girls met a crystal rhino and they beat it.
yeah.
And stuff happens in my story. Oops, I totally spoiled it now.
Electric Boogaloo ×2. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, once we're finished, I'm gonna do a little bit of editing, and then I'm gonna continue adding to the story because I think I'm about
Well,
3/4 of the way through now. Hopefully.
well, one thing is for sure. I will make sure that this story of mine is gonna be readable perfectly, and I'm now fully motivated to work on it this weekend to fix all the necessary bugs or grammar issues, whatever it is. Bugs, I would call them. Yeah.
All right.
Mine still has. Yeah, mine still has lots of. Sorry, mine still has lots of weird names in it, but that's just the way it is.
No
Ooga
worries.
Booga Man 1, Ooga Booga Man 2, Ooga Booga Man 3, Ooga Booga Man 4, yes. And then you have Caveman!
Yeah, that would be a different story, I guess.
Yeah.
True. Still a fun story though. With
Yeah,
cross-dressing monkeys.
God help us.
I think that he has long since abandoned this stream for better or worse.
Who's what?
Who?
Who's abandoned what?
Well, you said God help us, so I'm just like, he probably abandoned the stream a long time ago.
Oh well, I would hope not.
I'm joking. Okay, he's always with us. We'll talk about that. We'll not dwell on that too much. So, couple choices. I have either the last third of the prologue of Lost Legion, or the last half of my Dark Steel fight. Those are the two options. What do you guys want to hear?
I like to have the Dark Steel fight, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I want to see how that goes.
Okay. Alrighty. So for context, for those who haven't been here, all two people in the chat. Well, one person in the chat. Basically, what has happened is a group of supervillains have taken control of an FBI holding place or resource guard station, and Claire, a superhero named Darksteel, has arrived to help the agents out. And this is the what happens, and she's able to take out most of them, but now she's going to take on the guy with a lightning generating rapier. That's what's going to happen. And he's already deflected her laser eyes off of it, but now she has to engage in hand to hand. So that's the setup. Let's get to it. Claire Stanley, aka Dark Steel, watched her opponent carefully for some kind of opening she could exploit. If he could deflect her laser beams toward the civilians, then she couldn't use them while they were around for fear of collateral damage. Instead, she'd have to just get in close and start punching. Broker Steel gave the user higher durability, but Claire had faced humans and aliens carrying the stuff. She could beat them, but it was hard. It does hurt, though. She forced herself not to massage her arm where Kurath had broken it when she'd fought him a few months ago. Thankfully, the rapier didn't do as much damage to her suit as a blunt force bludgeon, but if he got in her bare hands or face, then it would become a problem. Got deflected off my arms, but it's going to wear out at some point. Playing cure in her head, she shot forward, fist raised. Z-Man dodged to the side and swung his rapier like a fencing saber, lightning crackling along the blade. Face set, Claire erased her arm and deflected her weapon off the thicker armor on her bracer. A chink fell off the metal on her sleeve, causing her to flinch, but now the sword bounced off. She had an opening. Clenching her fist, Claire lashed out towards Z-Man's face. Before she could reach him, the man in purple leaped back and lashed out with his rapier. She managed to skip backward, but he managed to score a hit on her face. Pain lanced across her cheek, and a slight trickle of blue blood flowed down her cheek. Grunting, she flew backward, then circled her opponent and tried to hit him from behind. Sensing the direction of the attack, Z-Man turned and slashed her again, but she deflected it off her arm, then struck at his face again. Just like last time, she dodged back, but this time he shifted the direction of her attack and slammed her fist into his ribcage. The force of her strikes ended flying into the wall, the stones cracking in the impact. With a clatter, the sword fell from his hand and landed on the ground. Before he could summon it to his hand, Claire focused the energy in her body into her eyes, building the intensity to a critical point, then unleashed her eye beams. Mask slightly scrunched up, Z-Man flicked his hand, putting the sword between him and her. Claire grimaced in frustration as the beam split around the sword, twin jets of red energy cutting into the wall. Growling, she shot forward, knocking the sword out of the way before slamming her fist into Z-Man's chest. Or she tried to. The sword shot toward its master, then pulled him out of the way just before her fist slammed into the wall behind it, shattering it like it was a piece of styrofoam. Taking the weapon in a two-handed grip, Z-Man swung at her again, aiming right at her neck. Claire shot upward, stopping just below the ceiling, enough for the sword to pass harmlessly an inch below her feet. The force of Z-Man's swing swung him slightly off balance, but that was all Claire needed. Keep swirling around her, she shot down and shot a punch. She dropped down and shot a punch toward his mask. This time, it connected. Her clenched fist slammed into his face and sent him to the ground. Unleashing all of her strength, Claire slammed her fist into his chest, causing him to gasp in pain. Again, she pummeled him directly into his chest, but feeling like she was hitting a stiff punching bag rather than a soft, squishy human body. A sudden scream drew her attention away from Z-Man as a pair of androids from before burst into the room and grabbed the agent who had helped her earlier in the fight. The agent tried to fight back, but the robots were too strong for her. The distraction was just enough for Z-Man. Sword shot to his hand and he slashed at her, and this time the weapon hit her in the side. Lightning crackled around the blade as it struck her, the energy more than the force of the blow sending her flying through the desks. Pushing herself up, Claire floated a few inches above the floor, then glanced between the robots holding their hostage and Z-Man as he stood up. Very thrilling. The masked man cracked his neck and rolled his shoulders. But unfortunately for you, at least, I cannot allow any further interference. The sword floated into his hand and he pointed at Claire. Stay still. If you move, she dies. Z-Man walked forward, lightning crackling around his sword. Gritting, he swung his weapon. Claire wouldn't have had time to react even if she didn't have a hostage counting on her. A spray of lightning flew toward her, slamming her against the wall. "Start shooting her," Z-Man remarked, raising his sword and unleashing another blast of lightning toward her. Claire screamed in pain as the electricity coursed through her, then cut off as the enemy began unleashing a steady barrage arrows of high-powered laser projectiles at her. A combination of her Stanlamite biology and her suit managed to stand up to the constant barrage of magical lightning and alien tech, but cracks began forming on her suit, and she could feel bruises forming on her body. If they kept shooting her, they would cause us fatal organ damage. Fighting through the pain, Claire glanced at the robot holding the hostage. If she could disable that, suddenly she made a deliberate tilting motion with her head in her hand. The hostage Carmenian tilted her head to the side. Without hesitation, Claire activated her laser vision and shot the robot about right in the head. With a clank, the bot dropped to the floor. The agent dropped as well. A severe burn on her shoulder and neck where the beam had grazed her. Finally, she could cut loose. Screaming, Claire bisected the remaining bots, then shot toward Z-Man, keeping one arm up to deflect any possible attacks at her neck. Instead of slashing her with his sword, he threw a punch at her face. Her head rang as his fist collided with her face so bad that she barely noticed him deliver a blow to her side, knocking her away and tearing a chunk of her armor away. Claire rolled on the ground and came to a halt in front of the wall where the agents had taken refuge. They probably had not been able to run because of the robots and the battling superpowered people in their way. Smart, she thought as she pushed herself up. Pain racking her body, Claire stood up, putting herself between Z-Man and the cowering agents. They couldn't do anything else. "You put up a good fight, Darksteel," Z-Man remarked as he walked toward her, "but you cannot match my power with..." Before he could attack, Claire unleashed a powerful blast from I-beams at his leg. With the sword reinforcing his body, Z-Man only got burned where titanium or flesh would have been completely cut in two. With a yell, he dropped to one knee, then slashed wildly at her as she flew at him. Claire wove around the attack and slammed her fist into his chest, throwing him to the wall. "I'm not gonna let you win." She stood up and flew toward him, grabbing his sword and twisting it hard. "I'm taking you in." Without a word, Z-Man dropped the sword, then transferred it to his other hand, then started sawing at her side. The injury burned as if someone had seared her flesh with red-hot iron. In response, she blasted him right in the face with her heat vision. He yelled and pushed her away, rolling on the ground and clutching at his eyes. When his hand came away, it was a purple-haired ape that stared at her, bright yellow eyes streaked with red. "Hey, ugly!" Z-Man's turned, sword up, to face the agent who had been and held hostage through a glass box containing a pair of silver ovarium arachnoids at him. Instinctively he lashed out, but that was a mistake. The sword cut through the glass like paper, slicing one of the arachnoids in half, but the other lashed onto his face, biting deep as the poisonous blood had sprayed across his purple suit. Steam rose from where the blood had hit him. Icky in pain, Z-Man dropped to the ground and clutched at his face, ripping the arachnoid off his face and throwing it aside, right at the brave agent. Clara reacted instinctively, I-beams blazing red light across the room at as high an intensity she could manage. She barely missed her head, but she managed to incinerate the rest of the body. That was enough, though. The head lashed into the woman's leg and burned inside. Screaming, the woman dropped to the ground, clutching her leg. Pain racking her body, Claire stumbled out to her rescue and then grasped the agent's leg. "I'm going to have to cut into the leg," she said quietly, putting one hand on the woman's shoulder before putting the other on the leg. "If I don't, you're going to die." Abruptly, the woman stopped screaming and passed out. "No." Claire quickly checked her patient for a pulse before ripping a piece of her pants to see if she needed to dig into the limb. Impossibly, there was a pulse, and the skin had turned blue rather than inflamed inked red. Phew, Claire whispered, then glanced at the mess as she made. A little over a dozen robots cut to pieces, one tech-enhanced normal human knocked out, and a storm-controlled superhuman beaten, and one broker-made weapon secured. Groaning, she stood up, then seized the rapier's hilt. Instantly, she felt power surge into her injuries quickly knitting together. Sighing, she picked up the sheath and inserted the weapon into its holster. Someone get the authorities over here to cart these idiots to prison. She nodded to the prisoners, including the still writhing Z-Man. Someone pulled out their phone and began dialing 911 like their life depended on it. Sighing, Claire grabbed the three super criminals and flew them outside. Without a word, she grabbed a light lamppost and bent it around her captives, completely immobilizing them. Cape swirling around her, Claire turned her vision toward the open, slightly cloudy afternoon sky. Breathing in the bright light of the sun, she felt it and the power of the sword mixing and booming inside her. Sucking in a deep breath, she blasted off into the sky, a sonic boom accompanying her exit. It took her about 10 minutes to cover the almost 1,000 miles between Chicago and Mount Rushmore where the local phalanx base was. Cape swirling around herself, Claire let herself sag a little bit. Her body felt significantly better, but there were a couple places where the ache was continuous. Once she got there, the small hangar door opened to allow her to fly through. She waved at the technicians as she passed overhead, and they waved back enthusiastically. Sighing, she flew through the old bunker, noting, not for the first time, all the Aztec and Olmec designs throughout the structure. Apparently, it had been a giant hidden city built into the mountain with several traps and other impediments to getting in. However, the people going in for the first time in hundreds of years have been the Carter boys. "Merry Christmas, Mags," she called as she entered the control room, holding the sword up. "Got a present for you and your mom." Mags, or as she liked to call Magni, or as she liked to call him, Mags, last king of Asgard, lord of Midgard, wielder of Brunir, the spear of Odin himself, turned away from looking at the wide display screens, his well-trimmed dark blonde beard forming his bright grinning blue eyes as he fixed them on her. "Good to have you back," he remarked, accepting the weapon. "Where'd you get the sword?" "One of those little collector shops you hang around in on your off days?" "No, actually. Our friend Z-Man the Monkey Duke found a way to get his furry hands on enough broker steel to make a rapier out of it." Claire folded at her arms and glanced at the sword. "So, where do you think he could have gotten it?" After a cursory examination of the hilt, Magni pulled the rest free of its sheath. "Yeah, it's definitely a broker," he agreed. "Honestly, the likeliest option is he found a small stuff in a lone area of the ocean with one of the submarines he's stolen over the past few years." "Dirty, thieving monkey." Claire shook her head. "Remind me not to mess around with weird, obscure Hanuman cults." "Reminder given." Magni spun the weapon through his fingers, expertly handling it with the practice of a lifelong expert. Despite the fact the rapiers weren't his preferred method of fighting, Magni could handle any post-Vinland Saga era melee weapon with about equal ease. Long life and as close to invulnerability as makes no matter has a number of really, really useful perks, she thought as she made a practice stab with it. "Well, I'll add to the cash. We'll probably get it. We'll be better prepared next time when a rogue element finds a random broker deposit." Magni set the weapon aside, then gave her a hug that made her ribs creak. "Go get cleaned up. We're having a good year in our sector, thanks to you and the others. I promised you we'd have a feast near the winter solstice, so that's what we're going to do. As long as your mom is cooking, I'm down for that, Max." She returned the hug with just as much strength as he was giving them. He grunted slightly, then grinned and clasped her hand. "Definitely," he patted on the shoulder. "Get it going. You've earned some rest." Claire nodded and flew up to her open loft area, the open glass door inaccessible from the ground. Gracefully, she landed and gave a quick command toward the projected window. "Give me a good view of Yellowstone, please." She tapped the bracelet on her wrist, retracting her suit into its set of undergarments. Letting out a long, contented sigh, Claire walked to the closet next to the door and pulled out some extremely comfortable Terminator sweatpants, a Lord of the Rings hoodie, and a Doom t-shirt. She began flicking through her near-infinite movie collection uh, and flicked. Along came Pauline to the queue using the control tablet attached to her couch. Normally, she would have put in something a bit more action-heavy, but she was in the mood for something calming. She fell asleep on the couch around the point the hapless insurance agent embarrassed himself on the dance floor. She woke up with the DEFCON 1 alarm blaring in her ears. And that's the end.
Nice. Well done. I really liked the action scene. It was lovely.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Thank you.
Such great descriptions. Such lovely pacing. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep, nice.
Yeah. I think part of just like I had a lot of fun writing this because like Superman in the DCEU movies is terrible. Like he's a bad person. Like, and he kind of sucks as a superhero, and I'm just like, I kind of want to do a version of this right. And so my hope was like I was able to like actually do a superhero that wasn't DCEU Superman, but had some of his similar power set. So, other than the stupid ice breath, the ice breath is asinine.
Well,
And
give the ice breath to someone who has ice powers.
Yeah. Well,
That way it works.
yeah,
That way it
Man.
actually works.
yeah. I just need to. Yeah, I would need to write a thing where I need to play a game of Legendary with Iceman and then create a scenario where I can introduce him. But until then, it's probably just gonna be like laser eyes, super strength, flight, close to invulnerability, that sort of thing.
yeah, the early on when Claire, all these awful things were happening to Claire, I'm like, oh, I was trying to think of like parody things where the awful thing happens to her and then a weight falls on her head and I don't know at all.
Yeah. I tried to make her since one of the problems is like it's hard for Suit to find like you gotta like make sure that the enemy has some measure of like ability to stand up to the good guy.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
so the main thing that I gave him was he has a magic weapon that allows him to stand toe to toe with her and actually does damage to her. And if alien tech is put up against her enough times, she will have some measure of damage put against her. So that was
Yeah.
kind of the major thing with that.
you can get Superman syndrome.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing is like it's not specific. It's more kind of like Norse mythology based. Like
Yeah.
Broker Steel is like some is the I think the dwarves that made Mjolnir was named Broker, so that's why I call it Broker Steel.
Yeah, because if the superhero beats the bad guy too easily, you can get. I mean, that's one of the pitfalls.
Yeah, the victory doesn't exactly feel earned when that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess they always had trouble with that with Superman, which is why they came up with kryptonite. But then I think they got rid of kryptonite, and maybe they brought it back afterwards. I don't even remember. Whatever.
No, the way they make him relevant is they don't give him problems that he can fix using his super strength. They give him problems where he has to use his brain. That's how they make it relevant.
He was never smart, particularly smart.
Yeah, I concur with that.
Well,
It's very rare
that's
that
one of-
Superman is written intelligently.
That's one of the reasons why Lex Luthor is his
Foil.
yeah.
Yes. The chap who turned evil because his hair came, because Superman made him bald.
Yeah, That's just so funny.
Yeah.
That's honestly hilarious.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think that will about do it. So, I think I'm not sure if Kindle is live yet, but you can be able to read the first 3 episodes of uh the of Super Shots for free when that comes out, and after that, you'll have to buy tokens from Amazon on Kindle Vella in order to read the rest. But I'm going to make sure to put out an episode a week during the month of June, and that'll be my piece of entertainment for you guys. So
is it not available in print?
No. Basically, how Kindle Vella works is it's a serialized storytelling where I release a chap like a section of like max 5,000 words, and then you just pay tokens to read. You just buy tokens to read a section. That's the idea.
But you need an ebook.
No, you don't need an ebook.
Oh,
You can just read them. You can just use whatever web browser you use in order to buy it.
Now I need to be making sure that tomorrow I will do my very best to fix all the stuff I did, and then hopefully I can finally put it on the thing myself for free. I think that's a good idea. Let's see even more feedback.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Alrighty. Well, we will call that good for today. Thank you guys very much, and we will call that good. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a riot.